there's about 12 really common raw vegan myths. I'm going to unearth them right now. The first one is that no one needs to eat salt. Actually, salt is so bad for you, we're supposed to avoid it. Well, this came from people who eat a standard American diet. So the doctors are telling those people, don't eat salt. In other words, don't add salt to your food and don't eat food high in salt. But everything they're already eating is really high in salt. So those people already are eating a ton of salt. And then even for people who eat a vegan diet, a lot of that food is processed. And even if it's not, coconut aminos and soy sauce, those foods have salt in it already, in addition to miso, which is high in salt. So if you're avoiding salt altogether, that's extremely problematic. You can get nauseous, and there's a whole host of other really bad side effects. You can even have your cholesterol level go up if you eat too low in salt. So I'll put a link in the description if you want to read from Dr. McDougall's website some of the dangers of eating not enough salt and or avoiding salt altogether. And especially if you're an athlete, you're going to need even more salt. So what I noticed is if I go to the gym and it's a really hot day and I don't have enough salt in my smoothie, I'll start feeling really thirsty and I'll keep drinking more water. But the thing is, I don't need water because I've already drank like 20 ounces of water. What I need is salt. So I found out drinking more water is not making me hydrated. Once I add a little bit of salt, I feel hydrated. So you do need some sodium. Sodium is an essential nutrient. The problem is people just consume too much of it. So you need about a teaspoon a day. You can also check out Dr. Brooke Goldner, where she recommends that exact amount for people, because if you are eating a raw vegan diet, typically the food doesn't have salt in it. I mean, if you're eating a lot of fruit, I don't know, there's very little salt. If you're eating a bunch of celery, sure, there's salt in that. I don't even like celery, so rarely eat celery. So I do consume salt. I put a little bit in my smoothies. I'll have some olives, and sometimes I'll actually eat some sodium. Myth number 2, nuts don't make you fat. All right, if you don't eat a lot of nuts, yeah, they're not going to make you fat, but it depends on how many you eat. So I am a prime example of somebody who gains weight very quickly if I eat nuts. If I eat more than 7 nuts a day, I'll see the weight come on. And it's not muscle, it's pure body fat. And I can tell, I can look in the mirror and go, yeah, belly's looking bigger. And another person who has the same issue, she's really famous, Chef AJ, she said that she avoids nuts altogether because if she eats any, she gains body fat too. And she was even working with a doctor so that she could eat nuts, because who doesn't love and enjoy nuts? Nuts are delicious. So yeah, you can gain weight on nuts. And also even Dr. Brooke Goldner says that if you are trying to reverse an autoimmune disease, you should avoid nuts altogether because they're high in omega-6 fats, which if you eat too much of, they will cancel out the omega-3s, and the omega-3 fats are needed for healing. So you don't have to have nuts at all, but they are tasty. And I also found that if, I do eat raw nuts, and if I eat too many, my stomach starts to hurt. You are supposed to soak them, but soaking nuts just tastes kind of gross. So what I try to do is just have them in a dressing that are blended and with the water. So, and I try to limit that too, because it's so good, like a peanut dressing. Well, that's not raw, but even just like a tahini dressing, something like that. All right, myth number 3, fruit juices are great for you and they're cleansing, and have as much as you want and have it every single day. Okay, I totally disagree that people should be drinking fruit juice. What you're doing is you're putting the fruit in this appliance, you're removing the fiber, So a fiber actually is an essential nutrient, just like salt. So you're removing the fiber, and then you're just drinking the juice, which is fructose. Nothing wrong with fructose as long as it's in its original package. So you just made that, let's say apple juice, you've just processed it. So you took something healthy and you've actually made it unhealthy. And it will spike your blood sugar, because when you're eating something so concentrated, your blood sugar is going to go up and your insulin level is going to go up, because it's got to produce insulin to get that blood sugar back down. So I definitely avoid juices, but I mean, like you can blend it and take your apple and put it in your fruit smoothie. That's totally good. Or if you want to do a green juice, that's fine. So you put your greens in there and you put a little bit of apple to make it taste less disgusting. Okay, that's totally fine. So hopefully that will dispel that myth, and hopefully you won't be drinking fruit juices. I know they're tasty, but I would not consider them healthy at all. Myth number 4. Everyone, or at least a lot of people, should try dry fasting. So dry fasting is where you consume nothing at all. No water, no vitamins, no food, nothing at all. That's completely different from water fasting, where you don't eat anything, you drink water. So dry fasting, consume nothing except air. The problem with that is that you do not want to be dehydrated. No one wants to be dehydrated, or should be. It's very, very unhealthy. You know, water is needed for certain processes. It's needed not just to hydrate your cells and your organs and tissues and to help you eliminate, which is you're eliminating waste, and that's part of detoxification. But a certain amount of water is needed for repair. So please, no one ever do dry fasting. Water fasting is fine for certain people under certain circumstances. Get your okay from your doctor first, and then if it's longer than a day or maybe 2, then you really should do it under a doctor's watch, maybe at True North. Myth number 5. You have mucoid plaque and you gotta remove it. So people will go online and they'll buy a product that supposedly removes mucoid plaque. You know, there's a lot of scams out there. I don't know what that product is, and do we really want to remove it? I mean, if you're consuming dairy, then yes, you're going to be producing mucus, unwanted mucus. So, but if you're raw vegan, you should be consuming dairy, so that should be out of the picture. And plaque. So plaques are fats, saturated fats, but those are typically from oils, so you shouldn't be consuming oils. A little bit of flax or chia is fine, but you know, even olive oil is not healthy. And the other plaques are typically from animals. So you're not eating animals, and you're not drinking their blood or slurping their pus. Yuck. And if as long as you're not eating too many nuts, and nuts are high in saturated fat, then you shouldn't worry about plaques. Now, Deepak Chopra wrote a book in 2018 called The Healing Self. And in that, he wrote the respiratory system is lined with mucus to catch dust and germs. So you probably don't want to consume a product that removes that lining that apparently is essential. Myth number 6, just eat fruit. And it's okay if you only eat fruit. So the healthiest food in the world are actually greens. So if you want good health, you should be eating greens. It's okay to eat fruit, but a lot of people are on these high fruit diets, and then you know they're pushing fruit, and then you find a video, maybe hidden, that they finally admit they have some problems and some issues. And then maybe they'll eat some fish here and there. Maybe don't eat fish, eat your greens. So raw vegan diet can be very healthy. It can be very unhealthy. You want a balance. You do want to have greens and fruit and some nuts and seeds. Now, the seeds that you want to consume every single day are either chia or flax, or you can have both. So you need the omega-3 fats in high quantities, and that's what you'll get not from fish, but from the chia seeds or the flax seeds. And don't buy pre-ground. A lot of people do that for convenience. You know, they buy a big bag and maybe it smells funny, maybe it tastes funny. Well, most likely it's rancid. So just throw it in your smoothie, a little handful, and then you should be fine. So 1 tablespoon at a minimum every single day. Dr. Brooke Goldner recommends for people who have an autoimmune condition, health conditions, to have a half a cup of whole flax or whole chia seeds that are freshly ground every single day to get that high amount of omega-3 healthy fats, which are required for healing. Now, if you're healthy, you only need like 1 to 2 tablespoons a day. And she also found that over the years of helping people reverse autoimmune conditions is that when people eat too much fruit, they're not able to reverse the autoimmune attacks or stop them. They continue. And she found if she limits the fruit to a certain amount, then the people can heal. So she's not saying don't eat a lot of fruit. She's saying if you are not ill, try limiting it, eat mostly greens with your flax or chia, and then you should be able to heal your conditions. And then after that period, then you can enjoy a bunch of fruit, but you still want to continue eating your greens and your flax or chia. So I try to consume about a pound at least of raw vegetables a day. Myth number 7, a raw vegan diet will cure everything. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? I mean, it's okay to think it might cure your issues, all of your issues. Give it a try. But when people say it will, then you have all these high expectations. You're all excited. And then this doesn't happen. And then you get bummed out. So a lot of people, like even Dr. Brooke Goldner, she says, oh, my eyesight is 20/20 and me and my husband have fantastic hearing. Well, then it's like, well, why do I still have to wear glasses to read? And why is my hearing not so great? I'm like, huh? What? I mean, when I was a teenager, I went to a lot of concerts and that music was blaring and I came home at night and my ears were throbbing and it sounded like there was like a hum all the time. And I've had to wear glasses for reading since I was in my early 20s. And as we get older, our lenses harden and it makes it harder to read. So you may have better eyesight. You might not have to wear glasses anymore, and maybe you won't need hearing aids, but it depends on the person. So it may help you heal all of your issues, but I wouldn't tell someone it's going to heal everything. That's just not true. It's wishful thinking though. Myth number 8. You don't need to drink water. Just drink vegetable juices, fruit juices, and eat a lot of fruit. No. Drink water. I mean, we already talked about the benefits of water. Most people do not drink enough water. Dr. Goldner recommends a minimum of 96 ounces of water per day. When I took my certification, and I have several certifications, but it was a strength and conditioning certification course. So to work with athletes, the thing to tell them constantly was they needed to check their water intake. And the guide, a general rule, is to drink 1 ounce of water for every pound. So if I weigh 100 pounds, I'm close to that right now, I should be drinking about 100 ounces of water per day. And if it's hot, maybe more. So what I do is I take a pitcher of water that's glass, I fill it up as high as I can, and it's about 95 ounces of water. And within 24 hours, I make sure to consume all of it. Do I always? No, but I will drink about at least probably 30 ounces during the night. So I'm constantly hydrated all day, all night. And yeah, you're gonna go to the bathroom more. Who cares? And it's good. It gets you moving around and off your booty. Myth number 9. If you ate a whole food, raw vegan diet, you should not and do not need supplements. And the person will say, I don't have to take supplements. I am completely healthy. Well, good for you. That person is not you. And I am not that person. So maybe that person does not need to take supplements. Maybe she lives in Florida and is outside sunbathing every day and she doesn't need vitamin D. Where me, I am not, I only do my walks in the morning and I'm typically in the house the rest of the day. So I do not get enough vitamin D. And how do I know that? Because I get my blood tested regularly, probably every 6 months. So because what I found is my vitamin D level drops severely in the wintertime. I think the lowest was, oh goodness, I'll write it up there. But it really, really drops. And then I start to have this weird, like, I feel very, very cold. My circulation isn't quite right. And I get kind of grumpy. So yeah, so I take my vitamin D, 2,000 international units every single day, and then I frequently get it tested. So now it's a little over 30. So I'm like, yay, the doctor's happy. And so the other thing is B12. Now, some people will have great B12 numbers, some won't. Some people need a supplement, some don't. Some will take supplements and it still won't work. So they have to get B12 injections. Again, don't avoid your doctor. At least get your blood test. You don't have to like your doctor. And the other thing is iodine. Again, not everyone needs iodine. So if you're eating seaweed like nori sheets, I'll make those nori hand rolls and I'll put wasabi in there and I make it with avocado. I puree the avocado with coconut aminos and wasabi, mix that up, make it a little paste, and I put my vegetables in there, wrap it up. Super good. I'll put a link to that recipe in the description box so you can make it super easy. It's really tasty. So that has iodine in it. So if I eat that dish once a week and I have 2 nori sheets, I should be good. My iodine should be fine. But when I don't, I do take iodine pills, or the other option is iodized salt. So maybe you don't need supplements, maybe you do, but get your blood tested and don't avoid your doctor completely. If there is an issue, you want to know about it. There was this raw vegan, I watched his video and he was doing self-colonics every day. I was like, whoa, and he said he felt better. And I'm thinking, because he had colitis. Well, one, if you have colitis, you should be going to the doctor, getting things checked out. And the doctor wanted to put him on some medication for an infection, and he wouldn't. He was doing all these colonics, and then he stopped doing the colonic, and then I guess the infection came back. I don't know all the details, but anyways, he had to get his colon removed. So sometimes you have to take the Western medicine. So, I mean, you could try other stuff, but if it doesn't work, you don't want to get your colon removed. Myth number 10. avoid sunscreen. It's so bad for you. So there's sunscreens that have good ingredients and not great ingredients. I always make sure it is vegan and has very minimal ingredients, doesn't have parabens or any scents in there. But you should wear sunscreen if you're going to be in the sun. I mean, I always wear a hat if I'm in the sun. I'll put on sunscreen on a sunny day when I go for my walk. And then when I go home, if I remember, I remove the sunscreen on and put moisturizer. So I don't want to keep that sunscreen on my face all day. For one, I feel it. It's like kind of heavy. So I do remove it. But yeah, because you're going to get sunburn. And I know that if someone drinks alcohol, their chance of sunburn is higher. But even if you're avoiding alcohol, don't take that risk. You don't want to sunburn. You don't want melanoma or have to get stuff cut off your face. This one woman, she had to get a big amount on her nose cut off. And then they had to go back and cut more because she had cancer on her nose. And then they had to like put a flap of skin over her nose. And so you could see, it looks so weird. It's like whitish, it's discolored because it's not, doesn't match the rest of her face. So she has to put like all this foundation and powder on it and try to get the color even to look normal. And if you look close, you're like, yeah, it kind of looks like someone's got a white band-aid on her face. So avoid that, wear the sunscreen, get a good brand, and just take it off. Myth number 11. Okay, guys, some of you are going to get really hot and bothered and upset with this number 11. So just breathe, and we'll all agree to disagree. Just hear what I have to say. You don't have to do this, but people will argue not to get vaccines. They're all bad. They have bad ingredients. So, yes, all vaccines have irritating ingredients, bad ingredients. Those ingredients are there as preservatives. They're to keep the other ingredients from spoiling. It's to make it activated. But those ingredients don't stay in your body forever. Your body will get rid of it. So, do I want to get COVID? No. Do I want to get the vaccine? No. But what could be worse? Most likely, getting COVID would be worse than getting a vaccine. That's just what I've seen based on what I've read. I've had all the shots. Did I like the shots? No, I'm fine. I'm not going to die from getting the COVID vaccine. I also get my flu shot every single year. And I started getting the flu shot because I was getting the flu every year so badly that I was sick for weeks. I was not recovering well from whenever I got the cold. I always end up like throwing up profusely. One time I threw up in bed. I threw up against the wall. Yeah, my husband wasn't happy about that because he cleaned it up. But so I get some vaccines. I don't get them all. I just get the ones I need. So if you don't want to get vaccines, that's up to you, but make sure the decision you're making is based on not what you've seen on Facebook or YouTube or whatever social media. Talk to the doctors and nurses. Get a couple different opinions, not from people who are biased, and to say, hey, can you tell me the pros and cons? So when I was in my early 20s, I remember the chickenpox vaccine just came out. And I was like, ooh, I wonder if I should get that. Because I never had the chickenpox as a child. So I did a little bit of research. There wasn't the internet back then, but I don't know what kind of research I did. But anyways, I didn't find much information. Oh, reading the papers, right? So, and so I thought, well, I'll go to my doctor and I'll ask him his advice. And I said, made the appointment. I went over there and I said, I heard that the chickenpox vaccine is available and I can get it. And I'm trying to decide if I should get the vaccine or not. And I want your advice. And I said, what do you think? He says, you can get it. I said, but what is your opinion? And I said, I read that if I get the chickenpox vaccine, I can still get chickenpox. And I can get chickenpox from the vaccine. Is that true? And he said, yes. And I said, oh, so don't get the vaccine? He says, just don't get the vaccine. He was an old man. Ugh, he had the little spittle on the corners of his mouth. So gross. What horrible advice he gave me. I swear, if you, I've found that the best advice that's non-biased is when you go to the pharmacy and you ask the pharmacist. They'll tell you the pros and cons. They're great. So I did not get the chickenpox vaccine. And that is one of the biggest mistakes I ever made, because what happened when I was 30, which is like 9 years later, I ended up getting the chickenpox. And when you get the chickenpox as an adult, you can die. Actually, there are children who die from getting the chickenpox. So I was very sick for a month. I got chickenpox everywhere. It was so painful and itchy. I have permanent scars from it. Some are on my back. There's one on my face. I mean, you can't really see it if you go, even if you went really close, but I know it's there. And what happened is when a virus enters our body, it can trigger autoimmune attacks against our own cells and tissues and organs. Our bodies kind of go a little bit nutso. So this is very common, unfortunately. This happens to millions and millions of people all over the world when they get a virus. And it can be any virus, not just the chickenpox. Any virus can trigger autoimmune attacks where our body gets the messages confused, and the body starts attacking tissues that are similar to the virus's protein. So what happened was my body thought my pancreatic beta cells were the chickenpox virus. So over the years, it just kept attacking. And over time, it was killing and destroying my beta cells, which produce insulin. So my blood sugars started going up and up and up. And then I eventually got diagnosed. I was surprised. I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which was devastating. So now I have to take insulin for the rest of my life. Now, my raw vegan diet and a specific protocol that I used from Dr. Britt Goldner did reverse the antibodies. So my body is no longer attacking my pancreas, but I don't have as many beta cells. Now, we don't know if the beta cells can replicate. Hopefully they can. But as of right now, I'm on a raw vegan diet and I have to take insulin. And that really sucks. So vaccine, no vaccine, it's up to you. But just know this information. I like to share it so that people have the information and then they can make their own choices. Now, myth number 12, not so controversial. So ending on a note that'll maybe make you a little bit happier. People have said they have canceled their medical insurance. They eat a raw vegan diet, they're healthy, they're not going to get sick. Well, hopefully, right? Fingers crossed. You never know. What if you get into a car accident? Things happen. Don't cancel your medical insurance. Get medical insurance. So those are the 12 most common raw vegan myths. If you have any questions, write to me below. Have a great day. For my favorite low-fat, oil-free, plant-based vegan recipes, order my cookbook with vegan nutrition facts on how to prevent and reverse disease, which chronicles my personal health and weight loss story through my website, thehigh5diet.com.